Hey there, everyone. I'm Ashley Billington, and you're watching the fifth quarter. A little bit of a scare tonight as severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings were across the Metroplex, canceling some school and some games that we had on tap. But there was still basketball in tonight here on the fifth quarter. We're going to bring you some of that basketball action from around the DFW Metroplex. First up, we have Inside High School Sports Insider Ryan Harris on with us. Ryan, we have another week of basketball season. Let's talk about this week. What are some of the things that you've seen this week, or what's some district races that you've been watching?
I spent my week watching some games in District 5, 6A. I saw Denton Geyer play. Geyer, of course, is led by Jacoby Coles. They've got some shooters. They've got a nice inside-out game. So I'm really interested to see those two play each other here in a few weeks, because Geyer is the program, the powerhouse, the team everybody thought was that was going to win this district. But after watching Byron Nelson tonight, I'll tell you that they've got a really good shooter in Austin Garner who can knock down threes. You really can't play a 2-3 zone against them. And they've got two posts that are athletic. They clog the paint, and it makes it really hard for offenses that don't shoot the three well to get into the paint and score against those guys, because they can block shots with really long, athletic dudes. So I really liked District 5, 6A, and then I'm looking at District, I believe it's 4, 6A with LD Bell in it. They're not a program that's typically normally all that good, but they're off to a 2-1 start in district, and they've played really well so far. They were, of course, I think I mentioned it last week, state ranked, and we'll see if they can climb back into the rankings this week after picking up a nice one tonight.
So some of these, or a lot of people look at the rankings for Texas high school hoops. They look at this team's the best because they're ranked here. But when district starts, kind of everything flies out the window, and we're kind of starting to see that right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, and it's just, I mean, that's the only part of it with basketball. It's all very fluid, right? Because you're playing 2 games a week. It's a little bit more common to have an off night for a team than it is maybe in football. You'll see a team go like Duncanville go 10-0 in football, but their basketball, even though they're one of the best teams in the state, they're still going to lose a handful of games that they probably should have won. So basketball is just a little bit different in that sense, and it makes it really interesting to follow, because you just don't know what might happen on a week-to-week basis.
Most definitely. What have been some other district races since now that district's kicked off? What have been some other district races or some teams that you've seen that you've been a little bit surprised about?
Well, I really love Louisville so far. They've got Keontae George. He just hit 1,000 career points, and it only took him 41 games to get there, which is super impressive. So if you haven't been out to Louisville yet to catch one of their games, I highly suggest doing so. So they're a team that I'm going to be keeping an eye on the rest of the way, because they've played really well. They've got the star. They've got a player that can really take over a game and fill stuff when he needs to. And so I think they could really go into deep playoff run. Some things fall into place.
So as we're going through the season, as season's starting to get into the biggest, most important piece, what are some of the things that let me go back. What are some things that you've seen so far this season that you're really optimistic about as these teams go forward into district?
Optimistic in terms of just how teams are playing.
As in, yeah, how teams are playing. Some teams that might have caught you a little bit off guard. Just things along those lines as you were watching tournaments and got to see these teams in action.
Yeah, well, I've mentioned Louisville and LD Bell, and those are certainly two teams that have kind of caught me off guard. But Prosper's another one of those. Again, they're in the district with Allen. They're the name brand, the team that normally has the stars, and they're the team that did that district. So we'll see what happens when those two meet up and play. But Prosper's off to a pretty good start so far this year as well. And then I also want to talk about John Paul. The private school, they've been incredible this year. They've just been routing teams. They've been routing 6A teams from out of state. Everybody they've played all sorts of different types of competition. competition, and so they're going to be a team to watch in the private school ranks. Of course, they're not competing in UIL, but if if you keep an eye on private school hoops, they're going to be the team to beat this year.
Most definitely. And one more thing that we'll talk about real quick. You might not have seen it, but another one of the girls' players has gone down with an ACL injury. Now that is Jordan Merritt. That there's several other girls that from DFW that are all spending the year with an ACL tear. What do you think that does, or what do you think that is? Because I mean, I was talking about it with some other people, and I find it interesting to talk to other people about this. But the fact that these kids are playing and putting their bodies on the line day in, day out, 365 days a year, 366 in 2020 because there's leap year. But do you think that these kids are playing almost too much now for the fact that we've got so many girls out with ACL injuries?
Yeah, well, that's something, I could go on for a long time about. It's a very different day and age now where AAU hoops is such a big part of players' recruitments, and that's how they get national exposure. And so when you're playing year round, you're playing in the summer, you're playing in the spring, and then you get into, school ball. It takes a toll on your body to have to play that much basketball over the course of a year. And it really is a shame because there's so much talent this year in DFW on the girls' side. And there still is, with even despite all the injuries that they seem to have. But it really is a shame because it was something that I was really looking forward to seeing how it played out. And of course, I'm still looking forward to that, but it's just not going to be quite the same because we're missing so many stars. But that's something where, and it's an issue on the boys' side too, just as much because they're all playing on this AAU circuit. They're traveling, they're training constantly for it. And they're having to take care of their bodies at such a young age, in a way that athletes didn't used to have to do. So it's just hard. It's really hard. And it's unfortunate, but there's really nothing that I know that they can really do to prevent that.
So and we don't have to get into this conversation, but the one thing that they did when I was growing up playing soccer was they told us not to play in high school. So I'm hoping that something like this year doesn't deter athletes, like the top athletes in basketball and baseball and that kind of stuff, to not play high school sports, because we here love watching them. Any closing thoughts that you have, Ryan, from this week of hoops action?
I really so far have covered everything that I wanted to talk about, just as far as some of those teams go. Have really been sort of a surprise this year. So I'm more than anything, I'm just looking forward to seeing how those teams like LD Bell and Louisville and Byron Nelson, how their seasons play out, how some of these district races shape up. And I know that we'll have a little bit more to talk about as we get farther into district play. We're 3 games in now. I'm really looking forward to seeing a few weeks from now how some of these teams start shaping out. And, once everybody's gone through that first cycle of teams that they have to play.
Awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We will be right back with the 5th quarter.
Don't forget to catch our extended coverage of the high school football season each week on The Warm-Up, presented by your local North Texas Geico agents. We will get you ready for all the action this Thursday on all our social media outlets. Watch Inside High School Sports to catch this week's MVP, brought to you by GiveMeTheVin.com. These MVP athletes make it look easy, just like GiveMeTheVin.com makes it easy to sell your car.
And we're back with the 5th quarter, and earlier in the week we caught up with the Denton Geyer coaching staff to talk to them about their Wildcat squad.
Talk about this program. It's obviously one of the tops in the state. And I've been over there, I've been there in the summer, and I see that you guys really promote it and encourage it in that area. You got many gyms. Great participation in numbers. What's it like to be a part of that program?
Really, it's special because I was there, and and Coach Corey was there too when it wasn't like that. Before, when I think I've been there. I came on the second year the school opened, so we were always trying to build things and get there. But I think the players coming in has helped a ton, obviously. But being able to do those things we were doing along with the talent of the program, has really just flourished. And we've always tried to build that family culture and wanting the gym to always be open. We always want you to have a spot where you can develop individually, personally, and then we'll also do our team stuff as well. But very, very blessed to be a part of our program, and be around the guys that we have in it.
It's always been a football state, but quietly, it's a really good basketball state.
It really is.
Talk about, and a lot of those kids cross over too. That you've got some pretty good players who played football for you, and they also play basketball. Talk about the just kind of how it goes. I hate to say it goes a little bit under the radar sometimes as to how many good players we put out here.
The basketball talent is phenomenal in Texas, and like you said, quietly it kind of is. But just on kind of another subject, football and basketball-wise at Geyer couldn't be better. Our relationship, the football coach and Ayers, we both want each other to win state, and it's not like that everywhere. So very, very fortunate, and love that we work together so well and have a great friendship too. Along with that, I think you're able to build multiple sports that are big, and I think in Texas now there's a ton of basketball programs that are getting those talented kids that can build championship programs and get invited to different things all over the country to get to play in. So I think that's built it.
Thank you so much to the Geyer Wildcat coaching staff for coming on with us here on the fifth quarter. When we come back, we'll have the Wizard on with us here on the fifth quarter to talk about what will be coming up on Wingstop Inside High School Sports.
The Inside Story is driven by your North Texas Honda dealers. Right now, they can help you get great deals on award-winning Hondas. It's their job to be helpful, so stop by your local helpful Honda dealer today.
And we're back with the fifth quarter, and we have my best friend, the Wizard, on with us to talk about what you'll be seeing on the show this weekend. Ward, what's going on in DFW basketball this week?
How about that? Ashley's calling me Ward. I don't think she called me that in probably 2 years, but I'll take it.
It's okay. I just called you the Wiz like 2 seconds ago.
That's okay. Hey, not much going on Friday night because of this crazy potential tornado rainstorm type deal. Scared away a lot of high schools. A lot of ISDs decided to cancel their games until tomorrow. I went up and checked out the Braswell girls again. They're ranked 8th in the state in 5A. What impressed me about them today is their offensive game was off the whole game. They could not buy a bucket, yet they still grinded it out and pulled out a win. And if you're going to be a team that makes it to deep into the playoffs, deep into February, maybe even into March, you're going to have to win some games when your offense isn't clicking. You're just going to have to grind. You're going to have to push. You're going to have to create turnovers. And that's exactly what they did against Denton Geyer. They ended up pulling off the win by about 14 points. Other things that impressed me this week, since we can't really talk a lot about Friday, on Tuesday night, let me give you a name to look out for in DFW. Colleyville Heritage, his name is Baylor Hebb. The guy's a trickster. The guy's a hooper. He tricks, and then let me tell you why he tricks you, because he does not have the build of a superstar athlete. He's a kind of a skinny kid, but he's got all the moves. He got the moves like Jagger. He'll take you to the hoop. He put up 31 against Grapevine this week, and each one of them was an ooh and ah type basket where he would go behind the back and make a guy fall backwards. And he's been doing that for a while, but he's been under the radar because Heritage, hasn't been one of the top teams, but they might be making some moves this week or this year actually.
Awesome. What's coming up on the show on Sunday this week?
Yeah, we got bumped by the old NFL playoffs, which I don't mind getting bumped by the NFL every once in a while. It's actually maybe the second time we got bumped this year. I can't even remember. But anyway, at noon on Sunday, we actually, despite the rain, we filled out a show. We're gonna have a highlights from Grand Prairie and South Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie has kind of been an afterthought in basketball over the years, but now they have Baron Brown, who is a Lancaster legend back in the day. Anybody that's been here since the 80s knows who Baron Brown is, and he's their head coach now. He's turning them around. They're up to the top of 7-6A. They take on South Grand Prairie tomorrow, who's a ranked team, and that should be, we'll have the highlights of that game on for Sunday. We're also going to see some of St. Mark's, who's probably the best private school team around here, unless John Paul II has anything to say about that. They have St. Mark's has 3 6'7" guys in their starting lineup, which not a lot of teams can say. So we'll have some highlights of their game. They played Faith Family this week. We're also going to have a look back at the 2002 Lincoln Tigers, the mythical national champions. They went 40-0. USA Today gave them the #1 ranking. They had Chris Bosh. They had a guy named Hopkins that was dunking all over the place. And you're going to see some sweet highlights from back in the day there. And an inside story that we really enjoyed doing this week. It's a kid by the name of Davion Taylor at Arlington Martin. Found out his grandmother had brain cancer, and he moved out of his house with his mom and moved in with his grandmother just so he could take care of her nonstop. He gets up at 4 in the morning whenever she's feeling sick. Does whatever he needs to do with her, plus has a 3.4 grade point average, and is a starting point guard at Martin. And if you get around him, he's got this infectious smile that will turn your day around in a heartbeat. So we'll show you that story and just tell you how great a guy that guy is, plus our plays of the week.
Oh, that made my heart so happy when you said that. That was so sweet, Wiz.
Yeah, you got to see it. The kid is something else, dude. You watch this story, you can't help but be in a good mood for the rest of the day.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to watch it now. So everyone, Sunday at noon. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Wiz?
I miss seeing my girl Ashley. That's my only thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us here on the fifth quarter, and I'll see you later. Wingstop Inside High School Sports will be on at a different time this week, Sunday at noon on NBC5. So remember, set your DVR, Sunday at noon, NBC5. Thank you so much for watching the fifth quarter. We'll see you next.